Hello, everybody. Welcome to Therapist Supporting Therapists. Today, I have the amazing and beautiful Sarah White with us. Welcome. And
Thanks.
yeah, Sarah is a licensed mental health counselor in Iowa, and she is my go-to person when I need a modification for yoga to help support my back. So she's amazing. So you're a mental health counselor, but you're also a certified yoga teacher. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, cool. So how do you do that with clients when you're online doing yoga and therapy?
Well, doing it online has been quite a challenge. I usually offer a weekly class that's some therapeutic flows and open to all clients that are able to make it. But due to the recent changes in our society, we have transitioned that class to an online format. I originally was a little hesitant about transitioning online, but we've had some really wonderful feedback and some good results from that. So it's really good to know that people are still trying to stay active, still trying to practice their yoga, despite being, I don't like to use the word social distancing, but physical distancing right now.
Absolutely. And that is a really good point. This isn't about social distancing, and that term gets thrown around a lot. But what we're doing is physical distancing and being able to stay social and connected like we are today.
Absolutely.
It's so important for our mental health.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So can you tell us how you're navigating supporting clients while you're working from home? This is a big change from you. I know you've been doing in person, so telehealth is new and different.
Absolutely. Well, the transition has gone smoother than what I anticipated, which has been good. I have heard from other therapists, some clients just don't seem to be comfortable meeting via the secure webcam or even doing an over the phone session. I've turned to DoxyMe and had some very good results using that. I think the biggest challenge is clients' internet connection seems to be a problem. But really that's been the biggest impact, I think, in terms of just kind of still keeping that relationship going. As we know, we lose a lot when we're behind the computer screen as opposed to face to face. And really, all in all, I think I've only had two people that have not been comfortable with that transition and have just said, let me know when you're back in the office. I'd prefer to meet that way. But for the most part, it seems like people are very open to this. One of my favorite parts is seeing clients' fur babies as part of the session. So I think we're all in this together, and clients have really seemed like they have just been open to the transition and recognize that this is not only a challenge for them, but for their therapist as well, and are still very, very grateful that we can even have our session. But for the most part, the technical difficulties have been pretty minimal. And if something does happen, it's always nice to know that we're just a phone call away and we can continue that way.
Very good. Well, you bring up a really good point in that we're also human beings having this experience, and we're going through this along with them. And it's so different because normally we're going through experiences that either we've been through or we can be kind of emotionally separated from in some way. And so now we're going through something with them in real time where we're having our own big feelings and emotions and triggers. And so I'm just wondering, what's this like for you as a human being having this experience while supporting clients?
It's been difficult. I would say the first day I did it, I was experiencing some heightened anxiety. Because as Michelle, you know me very well, I am probably one of the worst people when it comes to using technology. So I already knew that I would probably face just some technical issues there. And once again, just for me, I am so intuitive that to be able to pick up on subtle messages that the clients are sending us in person has been something I've really had a hard time adapting to.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it's gotten a little bit easier. I've also recognized that my office chair is terrible and I need to invest in a much more comfier one because I've had some serious back pain. So I even did a phone session yesterday where we just chatted on the phone, and I literally had to sit on the ground and stretch just because my chair is not the chair I need to be doing this for 8 to 9 hours a day.
Yeah,
But for the most
absolutely.
part, I've been pretty comfortable and try to find times to take breaks and get some gentle stretching in. I've experienced a lot of neck pain too, and I've heard some other therapists have had that as well, just from staring at the computer screen at an odd angle. So trying to be very mindful of how I'm holding my body and tension creeping up and seeing if I can relax that away.
Yeah, and so do you have some tips for us? Like, I'm sitting in right now, I've got a moon pod. It's like a fancy
Awesome.
bean bag. And so depending on how I sit in it, I either have back pain or it actually supports me. And so I know you actually disclosure, Sarah and I office together. And so we know each other pretty well and can do stretches around each other and things. So I know you have some really amazing input for people. So like with the neck strain, like what's something we can do? Because I know a lot of people are struggling with that.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite stretches that I've been doing for the neck is just really simply drawing one ear to the shoulder, maybe even using the hand to gently guide, if there's any pain in the back of the neck or any pain at all, backing off of that and drawing that over to the opposite side. You can even pair your breath with the movement. So I really enjoy inhaling as you're at center, and then exhale, drawing ear to shoulder. Inhaling as you come back, exhaling opposite ear to opposite shoulder. And then if that one isn't giving you the right kind of stretch, as you're drawing the ear to the shoulder, you can rotate the neck down as if you're trying to look at that hip. And that gives a lovely, lovely stretch along the back side of the neck and all the way up the spine as well. So that's been one of my go-tos specifically for the neck. We don't necessarily want to bend backwards because our neck just naturally doesn't bend as easily that way. So I encourage people to draw chin to the chest and even just gently rolling from side to side. Once again, pairing that with the breath, because then we really get the benefits of that meditative breath practice that's very soothing to our nervous systems.
Oh, I love that. I was doing that along with you, and that felt so good. I needed that.
Yes, we have
Great.
a lot of tension in those shoulders and that neck. So being very mindful of that can make a big difference.
Yeah. And you also mentioned your back. What are some things that we can do to better support our backs?
Absolutely. My go-to is just having both feet on the floor. I even actually have a bolster under my feet right now just because I'm short, so I like to bring the floor a little bit closer to me. So even having something underneath your feet as you're sitting can be a wonderful, lovely experience. But sitting up nice and straight and just doing some seated cats and cows is a wonderful way to just get that fluid flowing along the spine and getting some fresh blood along the spine. So as you're inhaling, you can arch the back, keeping the palms on the thighs and then looking, gazing towards the sky. And then on the exhale, curling the back into cat pose, drawing that chin to chest, and just flowing through those two movements once again with the breath, very slowly and mindfully, back and forth. And I'd say do that upwards of 2 minutes if it's comfortable for you, and you'll really start to feel some benefits there.
Oh, that's great because I don't always have time to get up between sessions and get moving around. So I can do that while I'm sitting with my blanket on my lap and
Absolutely.
in my little nook.
And I would even offer too, if you scoot your chair back just a little bit, you can forward fold, bringing your head between your knees and just taking some deep breaths that way. That alleviates a lot of pressure in our low back, which is where I've been experiencing a lot of my extra tension. Or even placing your hands on your desks and folding forward into a modified downward dog. Once again, that will take a lot of the pressure off of the low back and even some in the hips as well.
Oh, that's great. These are great tips, Sarah. Yeah. Is there any other tips as you're thinking about it that might help us when we're sitting here staring at our screens?
Well, one of my other favorites, because I do carry a lot of tension in my hips as well, and we know that our hips are load-bearing joints, so they carry a lot of tension, especially if we're women. We tend to see a little bit more tension than men might. We can also carry some emotional baggage there as well, as the yogis like to say. So I just simply cross one leg over, even cross the ankle over close to the opposite knee and gently fold forward over that. Kind of a figure 4 stretch, and that's going to give you a really lovely stretch on the outside of the hip and even into the buttocks a little bit, that low back area, and specifically our psoas muscles, which oftentimes are very tight and can contribute to a lot of hip and back pain. So the seated figure 4 is lovely. Even just stretching both hands high and kind of drawing one hand to the opposite side into a crescent side stretch. That's once again flowing with the breath and movement from side to side. Even maybe taking a gentle twist, placing the right hand on the left knee. My back just actually popped there, and that felt lovely. So I'd say, a lot of these yogic postures can be done seated, which we should all be taking advantage of in between sessions.
Oh, I love this. I'm feeling better already doing just these sample ones with you. I think this will.
Wonderful.
So if people want to contact you for some more tips, like specifically with their body, do you do kind of consultations for yoga?
Absolutely.
Okay.
A lot of people are uncomfortable going to maybe a group yoga class, and especially now we just don't have that luxury of going and going to a yoga studio to practice. So I do offer some one-on-one. I'd be happy to offer some more postures if anyone has any questions, anything like that.
Okay, great. Well, I will definitely link your information in the comment section underneath the video. So if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to you and maybe get a consultation if they have something really specific that they're wanting help with.
Definitely. And I would say my biggest piece of advice is, even if the movement isn't possible, just getting back to the breath and taking some slow, deep inhales and matching that with the exhales. Maybe even having that exhale just be a little bit longer. One thing I've really been trying to focus on right now is just getting back to the breath. I think that is so important as we're all going through this kind of challenging and uncertain time. Can really be grounding for us.
Yeah, would you be willing to walk us through a breath exercise?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think the simplest one is just, once again, sitting up straight, maybe not arching the spine, but just a natural straight spine. And I like to place my left hand over my heart and chest, and then my right hand over my belly. So just kind of naturally breathing here, closing the eyes if that's comfortable for you. And then on your next inhale, see if you can feel the belly expand underneath your hand, and even the chest expand as well. Because when we breathe, our collarbones expand, our rib cage expands, our shoulder blades even expand. We expand on all 4 directions as we inhale. So really trying to fill up like a balloon. And then on the exhale, feeling it contract just gently, maybe even drawing that belly button a little bit closer to the spine. And just taking a few deep breaths in, maybe for 4 or 5 seconds, and then trying to match the length of that inhale to the exhale. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose if that's comfortable. And I like to tell people to do that anywhere from, 5 deep breaths to upwards of a couple minutes. And that's going to be very, very soothing for our nervous system. And once again, very grounding, kind of pumping some fresh oxygen back to our brains and all throughout our body.
Oh, yes, I love that. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
All right. Any last tips or tricks that you have for us today?
I'm just telling people to move in a way that feels good for their body, maybe standing up, shaking things out, I'm just doing anything that's calling out to your body. Just really listen and give it what it needs right now. Maybe that's even a little bit of extra rest too.
Absolutely. We need our rest. I found that as I'm doing telehealth, I'm more tired at the end of the day.
I've noticed that as well.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of energy and focus.
It really does. And especially for those of us that are pretty intuitive, I think we're trying a little bit harder to read things in a different way, and that can be exhausting as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to hear other therapists and how they're feeling, if they're feeling more fatigue or not. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of the Therapist Supporting Therapist Project.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Bye, everybody.